Autism Dads Social Club video podcast where I, your host, Frederick Jackson, am ready to take you on an unforgettable journey. Each episode is a heartfelt exploration into the lives of fathers navigating the beautiful complexities of raising children with autism. Get ready for an inspiring ride filled with practical insight, valuable resources tailored to families with kids with autism. Together, we'll shine a light on the extraordinary fathers who are reshaping the landscape of autism parenting through their unwavering dedication to fatherhood. Join us now on the Autism Dads Social Club video podcast. Hello, everyone. We want to welcome everyone today to the Autism Dads Social Club video podcast. I'm your host, Frederick Jackson, and we have some very special guests today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but they are the founders. And I'm going to say this, personal heroes as to opening my eyes to a lot of things. We can start off with you guys introducing yourselves and just kind of give us a little background as far as your livelihood.
All right, I'll start. I'm Jonathan Chisholm. I am a professor. I teach at the University of Houston downtown. I'm an associate professor of history.
Okay, we can go with you, Emmanuel.
Sure. My name is Emmanuel. I'm an immigration attorney, corporate immigration law, based in Houston.
Okay. And Jesse?
Yeah, hi, my name is Jesse Esparza. I am an associate professor of history at Texas Southern University, where I also currently serve as the interim chair for the department.
Okay. Well, we have a lot of educators in the audience, and the one thing, and we have another person that's on the board, DeAndre Hinton. He's a father. He's in the Autism Dads Social Club, and he's also a newfound author. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, DeAndre?
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is DeAndre Hinton. I work as a department chair at an HISD school district, and my son he's Dylan. He's 16 and he's on the spectrum. And I've been on Autism Dads Social Club for about a year now, and enjoyed it ever since.
Okay. Now, I don't want this to be super formal. What I want to do is us to really dig into a couple of things, because every time I go to the meetings, I'm always impacted with when I speak to any of the fathers, it's like it's the consistent echo of what all of us are actually dealing with. So I want to start with you, Jonathan, is that give us a brief introduction into autism in your world, as far as how were you introduced to the whole spectrum of it all?
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, man, for hosting and being the producer for this podcast. We are excited about it. I was introduced to autism, believe it or not, through my son's diagnosis. I probably had heard of like Autism Speaks or autism organizations, but
Okay.
I'm going to be honest, I really never paid attention to it much because it wasn't something that, I had to deal with.
Right.
So as my son was diagnosed when he was about 2.5 years of age, then the world opened up for me in terms of what autism is and the spectrum that it represents. And even then, I had questions.
Okay.
I mean, because everyone with autism is different.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm learning about autism through my son Jay, who was 11 and on the spectrum. He's nonverbal, and I was introduced to it through his repetitive behaviors. He would run back and forth, line things up in a row, and of course, communication challenges and difficulties, expressing himself orally, communicating his needs and wants. And so, with that, I began to enter this world for the first time, and
Oh,
have learned
okay.
so much through reading and through others.
Okay. Jesse, share with us a little bit there.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Thank you for inviting us to this space to talk a bit. So, my son Mateo is 12 years old. He was diagnosed when he was 3. He's semi-verbal, and truth be told, it was my wife who recognized sort of deficiencies. She's an educator like me. She teaches in the schools K
Okay.
through 12, and she works with the elementary children. And she noticed that Mateo was not developing cognitively at the same pace or on par with other persons his age. And it was she who recognized some deficiencies. I sort of said, well, everyone sort of is on a different speed, and he'll come into it eventually,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. But it was at her insistence that we went and got him tested, and certainly we did. And then he was diagnosed officially and clinically diagnosed as being on the spectrum. And then through other, with other tests and other assessments, he was diagnosed with additional things. But the diagnosis came at 3 years old, again, at the insistence of my wife, who recognized early on, she works with that population, that something was not right. And yeah, and so that sort of became the watershed moment for us. It sort of kind of just changed our lives. We didn't know at that moment that it changed, that our lives had changed, but our lives did change at that moment. And we're sort of on this wonderful journey now. It's
Yes.
certainly it's got its struggles, but there are more wonderful
Yes.
memories and experiences and happenstances than there are struggles. And but yeah, that's when the world became brand new for us, when he was three
Okay.
years old.
I like that. I like that. It became brand new. And I'm gonna speak on that in a sec, but I want Manuel to go ahead and share with us um, his experiences there as well.
Sure, and just like you said, when we meet, we hear these echoes of similar experiences, and much like Jessie, it was my wife that initially, when my daughter Priya was 2, made comments about um, certain milestones, and I was very much of the opinion, what are you talking about? She's 2,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
Um, and so, she would. I remember vividly. She would kind of press the pediatricians, and so at that point, I started to, between the age of 2 and 3, started to take a closer look. Okay, what are these milestones?
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember being struck over and over again. Hey, some of these things that I see her peers doing, she's not really doing it. So you kind of have to start looking deeper into this autism question. What is it? And so, eventually by 3, we got the official diagnosis, which was tough because, autism was never in the thought process, right, for raising your child and building a life for your child. And so, but now it's I've learned so much, and it's just amazing, and just being able to recognize the differences in people. So yeah, I mean, that was my introduction to autism, much like everybody else, a diagnosis. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you also said something that you said from this experience, it opened you up to start seeing people differently. And we're going to have some more episodes. Actually, one is with one of the other board members or members of the Autism Dads Social Club, which is DeAndre Hinton. We've spoke, and maybe he can kind of put a couple of things out there, but we spoke from a certain perspective that we're wanting to do this podcast basically on the back of what you guys have done to give more exposure. And what I keep seeing is echoing through the whole thing is there was no awareness. No one was educated about it. You may have heard about it in passing. And now you take a look at it and it's a beautiful thing. And I'm going to put it back in y'all court, but I have to say something. I was speaking with DeAndre, and the one thing I've looked at personally, because I do have a son myself, is Peyton, is that it did change my life. And I'm going to say that because the focus of being with him and spending the time with him and getting to know him, I started to look at my child not as what everyone kind of quote unquote wants to label it as, a disability, but as a different way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back and you look at a lot of people that probably to this day, now they're adults, getting diagnosed now, you come to find out that they basically mastered the way that they think, that were on the spectrum. And now, once again, I want to put it to in any one of the members, but what led you to actually take a bigger step to say, you know what, we need to get some fathers together and help? That's another step. It's one thing to operate within your family and try to find resources, but what gave you guys the push to say, let's create a place, a safe space for our families and fathers?
Yeah, thank you for that, Fred. I'll start, and I think for me, one of the impetuses was not having the support that I felt that I needed from other parents, or I wouldn't even say support is the word. I would say connection.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Earlier in the process, when I first got the diagnosis, and as we were navigating this, I was kind of like, man, it'd be great to talk to some other people that's going through a similar experience as I am. Because in my own family, I have 5 siblings, and everyone has children.
Mm-hmm.
None of my siblings have a kid that's on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so within my immediate circle, it wasn't like I could, talk to another family member and,
Yes.
find someone to relate to. And so that was the thing. I searched online, looked for support groups. I did find one, and I remember vividly. I was like, cool. I'm gonna take that step to go check it out.
Okay.
I signed up. I think on the link it was like, well, bring a dish, bring some donuts or something. And so
Okay.
I went got my donuts and went to go to the meeting, man, and nobody was there.
Oh,
No,
wow.
yeah. I mean, it was a complete bust. And
Wow.
I remember, I don't think I've shared this story before. And it was disappointing. Like it was
Wow.
nothing out there that I can find to create or connect with people, in general, moms or dads. And so
Okay.
it started for me. I would run into people, and I ran into Emmanuel at Pinecone, and we happened to live in the same neighborhood. And it was like, man, we should get together. And Jesse, we were connecting on academic work.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
both historians, as we introduced ourselves, and then it was like, man, you have a son that's on the spectrum too. And
Okay.
it was like, for me, it's what I was looking for in terms
Okay.
of of community and dads. And so it was like, okay, what I was looking for didn't exist. And so it was like, well, we should do something, man.
There you go. There you go.
Connect. And so that's my part of the story, but I welcome others to share as well.
I didn't know. I didn't know that, Jonathan.
Wow.
That totally blew my mind.
I would have been hurt right there. I don't even know. I don't even know what I would have done in regards to going back home, saying
Wow.
that you felt that you had a safety net, and it wasn't one. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Emmanuel. I'm sorry. Wow.
Yeah, you know, like Jonathan said, we run into each other, and we kind of kept crossing each other's paths, man. And
Okay.
so, you know, and I too, with my daughter, you know, I tell people all the time, like I would watch her go to the park, and um, I could tell she wants to make friends and just doesn't have the tools. And it's like it was really heartbreaking. Um, and so I would go to the ABA Center and say, hey, do you guys have kind of activities or um, some kind of social skills program or something to get these kids like outside of just the ABA flashcards? And
Mm,
um, it's interesting, like to see how ABA centers have evolved now,
okay.
um,
Okay.
to include all these little kind of extra things. But anyway, there was a lack of kind of social engagement for me, for the kids, and so we just happened to run into each other and wanted to plan things, and eventually we're able to schedule a call. I remember that first call, and it's a blessing how it kind of molded into this organization. But like Jonathan, it came from seeking something that wasn't there really, and
Wow.
so we just
Wow.
try to make it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll echo some similar things. I mean, once I got past the info overload, right? Once we were diagnosed, I went online and just became inundated with all this information. A lot of it was sort of a waste of my time, and I wish I hadn't done that. It took me to dark places that I
Wow.
wish I'd never visited. But once I got past that stage, I then started going to trainings and sessions and workshops wherever they might be held, whatever was free, whatever was close, whatever my schedule allowed me to do, I would go do it. And when I got there, it was almost always women. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, where are the men?
Yeah.
And in my head, I was trying to sort of make sense of it. Perhaps they were deniers like me. Perhaps they
Yeah.
were embarrassed like me. Perhaps they were afraid like me. I mean, I don't know. I don't make excuses for anybody else,
I
right?
was
But I'm
there.
like, yeah. I mean, it's like, what's happened. So there was a sense of loneliness, and I don't mean that. I mean, at home, I never felt like that. My wife and I, we're the dream team here, right? But out in the community, there was like, I can't build community with other men if men aren't there, and so particularly a brotherhood. So when I was invited to join, and I mean, I was all in. I said, absolutely, this is what I've been looking for. I don't know what's going to come of this, but let's see. Let's start planting the seed there, and let's start nurturing this thing, and let's see what comes of it. And so I was in, and I was in because, I recall the sense of hopelessness that
Yeah.
I felt when I first received the diagnosis. It was a roller coaster ride of emotions. The hopelessness was one of them, and I hate for others to feel that. That's a terrible, terrible feeling. And I think that this brotherhood does a lot of things, and it provides a space where people can, right, not feel that sense of hopelessness when their insurance is denied or taken from them, when they don't have the money to pay for these therapy sessions. There's a sense of hopelessness, like, oh my God, I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to do God's work for my kid. And then there are these elements that tell me that I can't do. There's a sense of hopelessness, and I hate for people to feel that. I know what that's like. That's a terrible feeling, and I don't ever want anyone to feel like that. And I think that this organization can combat that. That's why I was all in. I was like, yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, I was right there with you. 100%. I mean, it was like each step. It was like didn't know nothing about it. Um, Once again, like Emmanuel's wife, my wife was the advocate. She didn't push, which I'm a little hard headed, so she didn't push. She she would just send me texts, I would like look at the first couple of headings, and I was like you said, denial. I say, he just needs a little direction, redirecting, and he's fine. I'm like, and once again, I you know, you're speaking now about some of the things that they were talking about. We would go to the pediatrician and they like, oh, these milestones, I'm like, what milestones are you talking about? The child is a child. The child is a baby. He's still crying. I'm like, what milestones are you talking about? So it's like, okay. And then I started reading. Um, um, the interesting thing that transpired with me was I started to relate, because I believe that I am somewhere on the spectrum myself, because in the early years, I was speaking with DeAndre, that, you know, what they did not understand back then, they put you in the buildings in the back. And no one, I mean, it was very few people there, very few kids there. So you want to talk about a child at that age, lonely, sitting in a place with no one else around, it can impact you. And so I almost became a loner at a point. I did my own thing. I walked by my own beat, and I'm like, okay. But I'm not gonna lie to you, like you were saying, Jesse, is that you all we seen were women. And that's why I sit here today and call you guys heroes, because once again, my wife, we were coming from somewhere. I was tired. I was the one driving. And we met, I met Jonathan at the event that you guys were co-hosting. And she was like, okay, you coming in, and she works with me. That's why I love her so much. She works with me because I'm hard-headed. She said, I said, no, I'm not coming in. I'm sitting right here. So I'm sitting in the car, and she didn't went inside. And so she ain't said anything. The next, about 5 minutes later, I get a text. She's like, well, come in here and at least meet the founder of one of you guys co-host in the Hope for Three. And so I come in, so I meet her. So now I'm thinking I'm leaving. And so I'm standing there, and she's like, oh, you need to meet this guy. I say, who is this? And so we're like, okay, Jonathan. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when you first walk up, we did speak. I'm like, okay. But then you came across, and it's like the first 2 minutes you were speaking just from something to relate to. If you noticed at that point, I almost lit up and I couldn't shut up. And I was like, I can't believe that somebody else is experiencing this too.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is something else. And I'm like, how many people out there, like you saying, just how many people out there, you go to an event, nobody's there. You go to an event, there's just women there. You're looking for resources, like you say, because our primary goal, at least I know with mine, it's to prepare my son to go out into the world, or my daughter out into the world, and to be able to take care of themselves just in case I'm not there. That is our goal and our missions we're shooting for. So I can relate with what you're saying there, and it just amazes me. But that's why I call you guys my heroes there. But so once you got to that point and you guys started the club, now all of a sudden I've been in the club for a few months, and I'm seeing the growth. What are you guys looking to try and do to move to the next level and things? What ideas are you looking to do?
Yeah, I mean, again, I want to say thank you, Fred. Just to back up, man, that was a powerful story that you shared, and I appreciate you for being transparent. And I remember that precise moment. It stands out when we first met, man, and we're honored to have you on the team and a part of the club. And really, it's just what you described, man. We want to be organic. We want to be authentic and create brotherhood and real relationships. I mean, I appreciate the organizations that have meetings on social media via, Zoom, and there are those spaces, and they're important. There are a lot of online support groups, but we're looking to continue to build connectional opportunities in person, where we as men, dads can connect and continue to grow in our relationship together. Since we first started in 2022, actually, I'm really just starting to get to know many of our co-founders, but I feel like we're brothers, and we know
Yeah.
each other more over these past couple of years. And so, I mean, what our relationship is, we hope to mirror it with other dads in the organizations, that as we come to meetings, as we hang out, as we bring our families together, our bonds grow closer. And the hope is that as our kids grow older, that they have a natural support system and
Yeah.
a deeper village and family system that they're a part of. I mean, I love the African proverb that it takes a village to
Yeah.
raise a child, and that's what we're truly trying to create and expand, is a
Okay.
village of support for moms and dads that have kids, that you're not alone, but also a village for our kids. I'm grateful. I have aunts, brothers, sisters. We have a good extended family network, but now I feel like with the Autism Dads Social Club, that my son has even more of a village
Yeah.
beyond just my family. And
You
so, and that's the vision and perspective moving forward, is we want more families to have that sense of, man, we're not alone, that
right.
I got a crew. I got a whole lot of brothers and sisters that I can identify with.
Yeah. You said something once, and it's almost echoing a little bit off of what Emmanuel said about trying to get some social interaction for his daughter. Is once my son did, come into about 4 or so like that. I mean, I can respond with I mean, I can relate with that in regards to, you have really no one to talk to. But you said something, Jonathan, I think, and I try not to go down a path and forget what I want to say, but it's like, we're talking about, let's talk about two things. One is safe space, and for actually the kids with autism and the fathers. And that right there, I never thought about, because we, I think when we first met, I think that's what really grabbed me at that point. It was like, you say that now all of a sudden, if your child respond a certain way, or that's a characteristics of autism or something like that, you don't get these strange, crazy looks. And I was like, I say, okay, because I knew that there was something going on, some anxiousness in me, or whatever the case was, but I couldn't put it into words. And when you said that, I was like, I say, okay. I say, now I get it. And so once again, like you say, man, it's like you want to create some safe space. You want them to make friends. And I know that when my son is out and about, that's a big thing for me. I like to watch him in his environment, to see how he's relating with the other kids, how are the kids responding to him, and how is he handling everything. And once again, it becomes a blessing when you can let them be in an environment when they can be themselves, where you're not trying to block them and guard them 24/7 to the point where they can't, breathe, if you want to say it in a way.
Yeah, and Fred, if I can jump in too,
Yeah.
and others can share, but I think for me, it's been a couple of experiences from our social opportunities and meetups, family events, that it just was confirmation that on the right track. I remember
Okay.
we had an event at We Rock the Spectrum. I mean, we've had a couple of events there. It's a kids gym for kids with autism and for the entire community. But early on, I think Jesse's son, Mateo, I felt like when we first started, Mateo was kind of in his own world and doing his thing. And he would recognize his family and respond to them. But it was like Mateo gave me a sense after a couple of events that, okay, I know you. And, you know, it's like he recognized and saw me.
Nice.
Just for me, that was incredibly moving and touching, and part of what we're trying to do. And I think I've noticed that with a lot of our kids as well, that as we have met, I mean, you see that sense of trust among our various families. And so I think at our last event, Jesse had Jay, and he was taking him around, and
Nice.
and I feel perfectly comfortable.
Exactly.
In the past, it was like, where is Jay? And you know, but we have that rapport and trust, and that's what it's about. And again, the extended family, and what we're trying to build and create.
If I could, Fred, you know, Jonathan, you shared something that's, you know, hoping that the other dads eventually can mirror what we've been able to form between ourselves as co-founders. I'm so grateful to these brothers and DeAndre also. I don't know that it would have been possible with I think I found the perfect people to do this with. And so I'm really grateful for that. And it's 100% the sense of community that we have. Speaking of, DeAndre and I, we went to do a promotional event for one of our partners, BI. And so while we were there, I ran into those RBT from Pinecone where we met, right? Mm-hmm. And it was so amazing to be able to show Jay's old RBT a picture of what Jay looks like now. And the picture was Jay giving Jesse like a huge hug at the Dr. Seuss event. Okay. And it's just, there's a real sense of, you know, previously our kids weren't getting invites to birthday parties, right? Now we go to birthday parties all the time, right? And so it's beautiful. And so, go ahead. Sorry, Fred. I just wanted to.
No. I mean, that's what we're here for, is that for you guys to be able to tell these stories, and we're coming up to a close, but I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have a part 2, because what I really want to continue and the purpose of this podcast is on about 2 or 3-fold. One is the purpose of, like you say, bringing awareness to what's going on and the struggles that a lot of the fathers are actually dealing with that we're not aware of. I mean, we're trying to be leaders in our home, but you know, it becomes a challenge. And to also, by telling these stories and being open and giving us a platform, which you got, I'm not gonna lie, that this actually pushed my limits a bit. But because of what I know that you guys have done, I want to thank you guys for sure. And that's why I call you guys my hero, because I can't even explain, but what I want to do is I want to thank the founders.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
And this is why I'm pushing myself, because it's a beautiful thing to be in the comfort of friends and family. So I want to thank our founders today for what they've done, and to continue to push. We're going to be here to bring more stories, more events, resources, ideas, thoughts, awareness to the realm of autism. And with that being the case, if you've noticed, each story, it opened up a whole new avenue into fatherhood, into our kids' lives and just a peace of mind for ourselves. So I want to thank everyone here today for being with us today on the Autism Dads Social Club video podcast. And I'm your host, Frederick Jackson. I'm here with Jesse, Jonathan, Emmanuel, and DeAndre. And until next time, check out our links, check out our websites, check out how you can join, how you can visit, how you can see us again. Click the subscribe so you can continue to get more information. We want to continue to try and bring resources. They will all be on our website at autismdadsocialclub.org. And once again, the link is down below. And until next time, you guys take care.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you for joining us on the Autism Dads Social Club video podcast. We hope you found our content insightful and engaging. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on our latest videos. If you enjoyed this podcast, give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family who might benefit from it. I'm your host, Frederick Jackson, saying until next time, keep learning, growing, and embracing the autism journey. Take care, and we'll see you on our next podcast.
Disclaimer: the content presented in Autism Dads Social Club video podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Autism Dads Social Club as a whole. The information provided in this podcast is not intended to substitute professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Viewers are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals regarding any questions or concerns related to autism or parenting. Autism Dads Social Club disclaims any liability for any loss or damage arising directly or indirectly from the use of or reliance on the information provided in this podcast.